Good day, everyone. This is Rita Choi, founder of AsiaHRM. AsiaHRM is a human resources community for Asia, focusing on leadership and coaching. We help organizations build high-performing teams. We are also an advocate for coaching. Our vision is to make coaching affordable and accessible to everyone in the world. And we do have an AI augmented coaching platform. If you want to know more about us, about our service, just let us know. As a continuation of a LinkedIn Live series on HR challenges faced by leaders, today we are going to talk about talent sustainability in the age of AI. We all talk about AI, right? But how are we going to sustain our talent in this very moment? We are very glad that today we have invited a talent acquisition lead at NCS Group Singapore, Lance Fu. Lance's career journey is driven by clear vision to elevate the talent function as a strategic enabler of organizational success and to inspire others to reimagine the potential of human capital while building sustainable and inclusive workplaces. Currently, she heads the talent acquisition team in NCS Group and drives recruitment strategies for a workforce of over 15,000 employees operating across 20 cities. As the LinkedIn top HR voice and recognized as a top 10 HR leader to be followed in 2026 by New in Asia, she actively engages in thought leadership by sharing insights on best practices of talent sustainability and the evolving landscape of work. So without further ado, I would love to invite Lance to the stage so that she can share with us her insight. And I understand that Lance has prepared a deck, a very brief deck. Then after that, we'll have a Q&A session. And for those who are viewing us now, just say hello to us and we'll say hello back to you. So Lance, welcome to our session today. Do you want to say anything to our viewers today before we start?
Yes, yeah. Hi, Rita, and hi everyone that is online right now. I'm Lance. I'm currently leading talent acquisition in a company named NCS Group. It is actually wholly owned by a company named Singtel Group. So if you have traveled around Asia, especially in Singapore, Singtel actually is the largest telco company in Singapore. In fact, it's also the sixth largest in the world today. It owns shares in Gloat, in AIS. So a different part of Asia Pacific, if you do, is actually linked by that. So NCS is actually a wholly owned subsidiary with 15,000 people today, of which there is employees across 20 cities. And it's a full play tech company whereby we hired people in AI, in data, in infrastructure, in engineering, cyber, etc. Yeah, so I have been with the company for coming 4 years right now. But before this 4 years, I have been in talent acquisition and recruitment space for more than 28 years. Yeah, so this is who I am. Rita, back to you. New to this platform, new to this chat, just maybe you can guide me along. I have only 5 slides today, so maybe you can help me with the sharing of the slides.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Before I share the slides for you, actually, when I lived in Singapore, I also used Singtel service, and it's super good. Super good.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to the first slide. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with your audience, which I understand it's mostly HR leaders in Hong Kong and across Asia as well. I have always been a recruiting advocate. So what I've been doing over the last 28 years is when I first started my career, I actually graduated from biotechnology, right? And I specialize in molecular genetics. So at that point of time, being a science grad, I have not considered a HR career. But I remember when I first started to look for a job in a recruitment agency, if some of you are still tuned back to those days whereby recruitment agency was one of the main source of looking for a job, I stepped into the room and the hiring consultant says that, Lance, I know that you graduated in science, but I wanted you to maybe consider a career in recruiting. So there and then I was thinking, if it's my first job, I can be brave, I can be curious. So I joined the recruitment company, and since then I have been in recruiting all along, right? So I was with a headhunter for 17 years, and then I crossed over to the dark side, which is where we are today in HR. When I said that, it's because I run internal talent acquisition. I have a very different method of applying recruiting strategy. It's because I own both sides of the space before. When I was as an agent, I was providing services to companies and HR leaders like yourself. And when I cross back in-house, where I'm in your space, working with HR leaders, I have to think from an internal perspective, how do we actually help company to scale very quickly? And most importantly, the key word is cost. How do we scale hiring with efficiency at cost? So with all this, for the last coming 10 years internally, I have worked across media. So I was with NBC Universal and Comcast Group. I was also with Lux Asia, which is a luxury consumer product company. I was with Fiserv, which is a fintech, the world's largest fintech company as of today, before I joined NCS, which is currently Southeast Asia leading system integrator. So with 4 companies as my internal talent acquisition experience, I've also realized that just briefly in the last decade, recruiting has changed a lot. And also with that, the way leaders view talent has also changed. So with 28 years of experience, to be very honest, a lot of the young ones, when I was working or when some of you are working, they are not even born yet. So sometimes I look at my interns, they would say, "Hey, Lance, how long have you worked?" And I said, "Oh, more than 25 years and 28 years." And I was like, "Lance, I'm not even born yet." And I said, "Yes." And that's the reason why I'm learning from you, because some of the things that you are experiencing today, I may have experienced far back, but the speed and the method is different. So I think it's about staying current to them. So today, one of the topic that Rita and I was just going through to say, hey, I'm going to share with HR leaders and where should I approach and how should I approach to make it more interesting and also current for all of you. I think, so a lot of us has been talking a lot about these 2 alphabet, AI. So it's coming. It's such a big buzzword that sometimes some people say that it's so commonly said that it's becoming like a piece of us, and we should be very natural with it. But when I deep dive with some of my colleagues, with some of my past coursemate, which does HR work and also sustainability work, they are saying that actually while they hear a lot, it's sensitive in the room. Yeah. So while they hear a lot about it around them, reading around it, the governments are talking about it, the leaders are talking about it, they are only using rather basic AI software. So for example, that would be ChatGPT for some of you. And if you're in North Asia, it would be DeepSeek and Claude, etc. So I think this is where I wanted to share a little bit more about how we should marry it, for how we should look at AI on top of talent sustainability. So if you're looking at this screen right now, we talk about AI being foundational, but it's not just understanding that it's a foundational content, but we need to be fluent in it. So this is where I highlighted that AI fluency is foundational. So maybe as I go to the next slides, Rita, should I also stop for Q&A or I should continue with
Yeah, maybe you just continue. Yeah, then after that we'll have a Q&A session if you don't mind. Yeah.
Thank you. Will do. So back to that, I
Yeah.
think AI is actually redesigning work at a speed that we cannot imagine. So organization even today are recruiting AI engineer and AI prompt engineer to see how they could help the rest of the organization gain that fluency. All right, so it's almost like a language. That's why the word here is fluency. As much as when we speak English, when we speak Mandarin, or when we speak even our dialect like Cantonese, or when we go to another country, it needs to be fluent. And if you are not fluent, you will not be understood. So the fluency is foundational. So understand here in HR, being the partner for all the multinational companies or different size, we are actually in a structural shift mode right now. And for talent acquisition, I can tell you today, my team hires, we have about 1,000 open recs at the moment. I run a team of about 60 to 80 recruiter across Asia Pacific. In Singapore alone, I have 1,000 open job requisition. Outside of Singapore, I have also approximately about 800 job opening at the same time. So that's the reason why in a short span of about 2 years, we have actually grown by 2,000 headcount or more. And because of that, I have also realized that when I look back at the job description 2 years back and now, you will find that all the job description has a few more lines, and that adds to the requirements of having AI foundational content. So the roles are being recomposed, whereby AI is a need. But sometimes we do speak to the hiring manager, they don't understand which point AI needs to be included, but they just want to have that assurance that the people that they are leading know how to engage with AI. So they put in these few requirements to say that, hey, I'd like you to be part of my team, but you should have this. So as talent acquisition team, we do go back to the hiring manager and we say that first thing, ask yourself, while we need it to be a bridge between you, the company, and the candidate to innovate with AI, do you yourself speak AI fluently? So a lot of them, of course, they will be caught and they say, no, not yet, but we are going through courses like that. So we are also looking internally of how are we actually training, not just to hire a new skill, but hire externally, train internally to make sure that everyone have the same lingo, which is they will understand how AI would pull everyone together. So the strategic question is later when we have a Q&A session, I would also want to ask you, how are your organization or how are we as HR reimagining that we could help the company win the war, which is AI versus the talent race, right? I'm sure today you hear a lot of unsettledness among personnel that says, hey, would I lose my career in the next 3 to 5 years' time? They hear a lot of conversation from founders like Elon Musk, and they do get concerned. So how are we as human resources and as TA leaders also, I won't use the word comfort, but to encourage them to think broadly on how they could participate in this so that we could coach them along. So maybe we can look at the next slides.
Okay, so Lance, I can't wait for the Q&A session. I have 2 questions for you. I can't wait. Sorry, I can't wait. Okay, you talk about AI fluency, right? How do you measure they are really fluent in AI?
Okay, so yeah, I will go to the next slide later, but maybe just a quick answer. I think the way around it, it's just like a language that we study in school. There's always a foundational component that they need to attend a class, right? So of course they can be taught in school or institution, or it can be self-learned. But even if they do self-learn it, they must be able to exhibit it to showcase that they have learned and they are capable of it. So we trust educational institution to say that if you have been through a course, you would at least, so for example, if we have taken a good 6 years of foundational course in English or in Mandarin, and you're able to speak and converse, right? That to me is a fluency, right? And
Okay.
if let's say the person self-learned it, right? They take an application, they learned it through they learned that language through an application. In tech world, we will say, hey, I'll put you on assessment. The assessment would be folks like HackerRank, right? So if they're able to clear some foundational assessment, then we say that, hey, you are fluent. You don't have in Singapore, you don't have like a PSLE certificate or a GCE O level or GSCE O level program, but you can speak and people understand you. That I feel is already fluency secured. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. We speak and people could understand us. Okay, my second question. So
Yes.
earlier you mentioned that there are quite a number of vacancies available within Singapore and also outside of Singapore, right? I think altogether there is around 1,800 or close to 2,000. And
Yes.
you also mentioned that for a lot of companies, they just basically they use AI to replace people. Okay. So in your current company, are you telling us that basically you don't use AIs to replace people? You're expanding and then just increase as many vacancies as possible?
No, actually, I wouldn't say that. So, actually, the preconception out in the market is the
Mm,
fear of people, general people, is that AI would replace them.
mm,
So let's bring ourselves back, say 30 or 40 years ago, whereby in factories of the world, especially in US, there were humans that was building cars in the automotive industry, right? You need tens and thousands of people that would build the cars, the component, put it together. And then thereafter, there came a period whereby the engineering take over, the equipment take over, they need lesser people to do that, right? So new industry was reimagined to help these people get employed somewhere else, meaning that they are less laborers. They go into more, I would say, intellectually enabled position. So same thing, look at AI as an automation that is like an equipment in an automotive industry. It is helping you to do less laborious work, right?
mm,
So it will not replace human. It actually helps human to move much quicker. So in NCS, we have 15,000 humans, right? These 15,000 humans, if we want to be more progressive, we want to have profit much better and quicker, we need to be able to solution and service our client, both internally and externally, much swifter. And because of that, we use AI to help us to work more efficiently. So if you have, or maybe you or people who is currently online right now, there have been, so AI has progressed so much so that now you can go in and you can create your own agents. That agent to help you to write a script, the agent to help you to run a time schedule, an agent for you to plan forward. So in NCS, currently we are at a stage whereby we are writing and creating agents on top of our humans to help our humans work faster. So it's a stage, for example, we are envisioning 15,000 people with 100,000 agents working for this 15,000 people. Can you imagine if
mm.
you have 100,000 customized AI agent that's able to work for these 15,000 people, how effective it is that they will scale and grow much quicker to be competitive. So it's really moving at speed, right? And it's not about replacing people. It's about helping them to elevate much quicker. Yeah. So we are not at the stage of we are not at a stage of saying that, oh, gonna whole hiring, because every individual are unique and we need their skill set to multiply our effect. Yeah.
Very nice. Using AI agents, right, to elevate people's work. Very
Yes.
nice.
Right. So this is why I was saying that this slide actually would answer your question. So if you see the header, it's really human as strategic amplifier. So the human and the machine has to work together to amplify. So if you can see, it's a multiplication. So the future is not about AI replacing us again. It's about amplifying our judgment. All right. So because we knew that the machine can't. I mean, it would hallucinate, right? I mean, AI, if it hallucinate, it comes up with content or judgment that we might not agree with. So we have to help it and make sure that while they're efficient, the judgment is always a human-led one. So take for example, how do we describe machine efficiency? It's really about what they do. It's they are more effective than human to do pattern recognition. They're also able to speed process much quicker. So take for example, if today you have 5 talents in the room, I can tell you all the 5 talents would think differently, process differently, reply differently, depending on what they're going through in life and there and then. So, but the machine is very focused. It will do what you would like it to do at a speed that it can afford, right? So the data synthesis, therefore, at your request, is at scale. So the human-wise is something that they cannot replace. That is the ethical content, the ethical reasoning, and also where the context, right? They will make a decision on we will make a decision on our very behalf, aware of the situation. So the content awareness is important. The last of all is empathy, right? I have also been sort of been told that there are some today we have got soft toys that is AI built that can offer empathy, right? And that I actually question. I think that it's data that we fed in for it to run empathy for us, but it's not customized, right? So I think on top of that, the last would be accountability. For us as human, we must always hold that accountability of whatever the machine decides or propose to us. We hold the final decision, so the accountability still lands with us. So having said that, with all this automation in place, it leads to the third, the other third slide, which is where we must redefine where our talent actually would do the entire framework to make sure that we are accountable for the final result. So, like the header I've mentioned, it's redefining talent. And I'm not sure if as HR leaders, so actually Rita, I do not know who is online, but it'll be interesting to just understand it a little bit more. I also do not know as HR leaders or TA leaders, how do they run their recruitment? So take for example, when my team has to hire 1,000 at any one point of time, the voluminous work means that I need to stage it out. So the recruiter comes in. Not every candidates will be that's pre-screened will pass us through. So we need to do a triaging. So if you look at the slides right now, just like when you go to a hospital or an A&E department for consultation, they need to know the urgency, right? Whether if you need immediate treatment or which doctor that you should go for, right? So this is where the triaging in a hospital works. And that's where we take back to our talent acquisition space as well. The TA team, there will be a team that does the pre-screening. There will be a team that will support with the triaging. Should you go to this hiring manager? Should we get you do your HackerRank assessments first? And all this would help us to evaluate better. And because of that, we have we have actually automated, augmented, and also preserved the workflow together. Yeah. And so automate, it will be more on the repetitive stuff, as I mentioned. It needs to be information heavy processes. At the same time, the action would be to deploy the AI to clear the administration burden. For example, one of the job positions that we have advertised has 20,000 applicants. Just one position, 20,000 applicants. How does a human, one recruiter, has time to look through 20,000 resume, right? So because of that, we have to help to automate to make sure that it is more time efficient, but also respectful of the candidates, right? So we automate it to make sure that there must be a proportion of keywords, or years of experience that must have matched in order to get to the triaging stage. And once that is done, the automation will also help to have a polite response so that the candidate doesn't feel ghosted. If you remember, I think there's this thing about ghosting candidate, right? Yeah. So we need to make sure that while automation is in place, there is also empathy that technology can help to support them through. Yeah. And with that, the problem solving part would be, as I said, the talent acquisition person will then have to come in to make an advanced decision. Can this candidate be put through to meet the internal stakeholders, or should I put the person through other maybe assessment that they can take? At the same time, the last whereby the talent redefining is make sure that we are preserving the leadership presence, whereby we do have a hiring manager also getting involved. At the same time, speaking to the rest of our people to make sure that they are aligned. Yeah. So this is that particular slides. I think I still have one more slide.
Yeah. Allow me one question, Lance, while you are sharing with us that with one position, open position, you have 20,000 applications. Okay. So if I speak from the candidate perspective, how can we just outperform the others and then selected to be interviewed? So do you have any tips for us? I understand that in your you mentioned in your automation, some keyword matching and so on. So I'm just a matter of interest. From the candidate perspective, how can we really come up to the interview stage and not to be screened out before they enter into that stage?
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I need to correct myself. It's not 20,000. It's actually 2,000 applicants.
Yeah. 2,000. Okay. Still a lot. 2,000 is still a lot.
2,000 applicants. Yeah.
Okay.
That has actually clicked apply. Yeah. 2,000.
Okay. Yeah. So what would be the tips for the candidates for them to be really to stand a high chance of entering into an interview stage?
Right. I think maybe shall we finish the last slide, then we go into that, because
sure. No problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think this would be the last slide. It's really to just wrap up what I've actually shared over the first 3 slides. So this is where we have to constantly help as HR leaders and talent acquisition leaders to remind our leadership that the technology here, it's very much to help our talent to be more effective, right? But not to lose the skill set, but to be more effective. And there's always power in agreement. If we do, just a minute, it's going to go off again. So this is about environmental friendly meeting room. Yes, we have to keep moving in a room. Okay, so back to this, whereby we need to make sure that as HR leaders and talent acquisition leaders, or just any leadership that's listening in today, we need to help to spread the message that in this entire wave of AI, we must remember to have to advocate a talent first mindset. It's very simple. If we were to start sharing and amplifying the fear people will get distracted. And when they're distracted, they are not efficient. And when they're not efficient, we will need to have very challenging conversation, right? So I think that it's not that is not the right flow of how we should operate. So first, I think back to my sharing in a hiring first landscape, we must always look at, when we actually are committing to hiring, do we need the person on a longer term, right? So this is the word whereby I just before I joined the call with all of you, Rita and I was talking about a word called sustainability. So I'm just going to talk a little bit here about that was because as much as there are AI involved, sustainability is not just about going green, reusing, recycling. No. If you were to look at how and sustainability is actually being talked about in the in the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, one of it is about having people having work to do, right? Because poverty will lead to lack of sustainability. And that will also lead to instability in a nation. So I can almost tell you all the governments in the world will not want AI to topple that piece that they need. So as human resources ourselves, as leaders ourselves, we need to ask ourselves, when we are hiring, is it sustainable? When you hire for a permanent role, do you have something permanent for the personnel? Do you actually even need the person? Maybe only for 1 to 2 years. Would it be better if you set the expectation right that this is not a permanent role? I can offer you, a bonus. I can offer you, good benefits. But for now, it's potentially just a contract role for 2 years, right? Setting the expectation right, keep the person grounded that I don't have a permanent role. At the same time, the person will continuously want to progress and advance himself or herself to learn so that they can prepare themselves after the 2 years. But if they are performing so well, they might get another few years being extended. So that kind of message that we send to have sustainable positions created for them, it's critical, right? So when you have got people, when you've got technology, and they have got the trust that they would have the role, it will lead to a lot of sustainable results. Yeah. So this is where I want to, when I do have opportunity, when I speak at the universities, when I speak at conferences for human resources, I want to also remind, my fellow, people who are in this space that it's always convenient to say and attract someone with a permanent role, but it is very, very challenging when you need to manage the performance and the results beyond 2 to 3 years, right? I can almost tell you that I can tell that a lot of people, once they have a permanent role, they might feel that, okay, I would want to retire in this job. They will tell themselves that, but should they? Would they? These are all results that we are not sure of. So what we can do is just to encourage them to constantly progress, to learn new technology, and that's where the AI fluency should be advocated at scale. If we could introduce different sets of the individual and the company to learn how to be exposed to AI. Yeah, so I think for L&D colleagues that is on the call, that might be something that is interesting, to consider. I am done with my slides. And Rita, maybe back to the questions that you have. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, but I really love what you just shared, right? Setting the expectations right? And then just tell them that, it is 2 to 3 years, and then give them bonus and so on, rather than just don't say anything and then they just expect that it will be long-term job opportunities, and then 1 or 2 years, sorry, that's the end of the employment, and we just want to say goodbye to you. I think this is very important. Sustainability is also very important. And this is how we got sustainable results, right? People plus technology plus trust. I think the trust part is very important. And second, setting the expectation right is part of it, because we have upfront to people, transparent to them. This is also help us to gain their trust. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Lance. So back to my question, that is from the candidate perspective, right? Because you mentioned about position having 2,000 applications. How can we really outperform ourselves in order at least to go to the stage where they are given the chance to be interviewed?
Right. So the way we view it of being interviewed is also something that we need to be really careful about positioning it. There are companies out there, I'm sure some of you do. The interviews is done in video, is video interviews, and it's augmented by technology. That means they are being interviewed, there are interview questions sent to them, they speak to a screen, but there's no human talking back to them, right? So in a lot of that process, to HR, to hiring manager, that is also an interview, right? So do we need the candidate to be interacted with a human to be interviewed? Yeah. So there are a lot that's going on in the talent acquisition space. Maybe some of you are still operating in a very standard flow whereby you post an ad, you look at the applicant, then you look through the profiles and shortlist maybe 10% of whatever the numbers that have applied to the hiring manager for them to take a look at the CVs. And then the hiring manager will shortlist maybe 2 to 3% of that to say, I want to preserve my time. I only want to interview 2 to 3% of this profile or those that looks interesting. Then let's say the 2 to 3%, it's 5 candidates. If it's 5 candidates, the hiring manager would have taken up 5 hours minimally of his time, right? So if you look at it at scale, depending on how many the companies is operating to hire, that are all costs of human time spent, right? So are we here to tangle with a candidate, or are we here to really interact? So, and you must also ask yourself, the moment you shortlist a candidate for an interview, you give the person a hope, right? So at a lot of time, almost the whole process, you're giving someone hope. The hope of the resume being seen, the hope of the resume being shortlisted for interview, the hope of after being interviewed, being shortlisted, then shortlisted second round, then some of them third to fourth round, right? Then hope of being offered. There are so many hope at different point of time, right? So, but at which point would they be disappointed? So I always said to candidate, don't mass apply. If you mass apply, you are garnering mass despair because there cannot be hope at every point that is given to you, because they expect every human has got expectation. I expect my CV to be seen. I expect to be shortlisted. So these are things that if a candidate wants to get themselves up on scale of being seen, they should apply to role that is highly relevant. So read through the job description properly. At the same time, there has also been a lot of advocacy about connecting with people, right? So connect with your past leaders, your past colleague. Do they have people that can refer you? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they seen? If there is a job that's been posted in a particular company that is competing to them in the past, do they have colleagues in the past there? Can they go for employee referral? So all these things are human touches that you don't even find AI in whatever I've just spoken. So the human connections bring them closer to getting shortlisted. And after they're shortlisted, can they get an AI app to train them of how to converse and interact? Could they go to another human and say, I'm going to go for an interview in a week's time. Could you coach me? I'm going to rehearse with you. Can you coach me? See, all this related conversation and interaction that, yes, AI can maybe at some point have a pretty lady or a handsome gentleman that would be in an application speaking to you and becoming an interviewer. That might happen. But even so, the content is being put in by humans, right? So what I'm saying right now here is, I think the candidates have a lot to learn, and that's where, as human resources personnel, sometimes if we manage the process carefully and creating the right, job description. My expectation of my talent acquisition team is really about writing good job description, right? If the better job description you write, the better the matches of the candidate. Even if you use AI, the AI will be able to tell you the right thing as well. Yeah. Rita,
Wow. Okay, thanks, Lance, for the tips. I think human touch is still the significant part in making a success, like referrals from your friends or from your ex-colleagues, and also practicing, right, with a person before you really come to the interview. Okay, so we have received some comments here. So Lance, can you see from here, from the screen here? Okay, this is the comment from Dominic. Listening to Lance reinforced my handling of AI utilization in my work as HR. Very nice. And there is a comment here. Thanks for the sharing, like the P plus T plus T trial. Trust in leadership came from role modeling. So the leaders needs to walk the talk and try out technology themselves. Very true. And I think this is a question here.
sure.
From the candidate's point of view, the shortlisting needs to ensure the perimeters are not elitist, but inclusive. What are your thoughts on making AI selection inclusive?
Sorry, I'm trying to read the question from the screen right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, just a minute. From the candidate point of view, the shortlisting needs to ensure the parameters are not elitist but inclusive. What are your thoughts on making AI selection inclusive? Right. Yeah. So the prompt. Okay. So I think we have been hearing a lot about prompt, right? So the word prompt. In fact, there are also some. I wouldn't call it rumors, but there are some news going around the market that AI prompt engineers are paid very highly, right? So, but behind it all, the AI engineers are also partnering with all of us, which is normal people who are using it to feed in the data, right? So take, for example, currently in Singtel and NCS, we have what we call an NCS GPT. So the platform is built on top of the OpenAI platform, and we actually feed information internally into the system for it to generate content that we need to work upon. So in order to, whatever outcome you want, it's whatever input you have put in. So when you said that we need the parameters to be not elitist, first, I'm not sure how do we judge or how do we classify elitists, right? Is it by the universities? Is it by the cities the person stays in? I'm not sure, Yeah. So I think a lot of time the system helps us to generate information that they will ask question. Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? And I think just putting it in and ask them what parameters would be gauged as elitist, right? So when that comes up, when the question comes to you, you can always prompt it and you can set to your very perspective what is not elitist, if you ask me. Yeah. But humans' judgment or humans' perception varies all the time, right? Yeah. So I think I would say be as open-minded as possible to the parameters that you feed in. Yeah.
Okay. Be open-minded. Actually, this question is from my friend Sandari, who is the advocate for inclusivity in Hong Kong. That's why she came a question about selection, inclusivity, how to be having this to be inclusive and so on.
No, it's okay.
Yes.
This one.
Yes, Lance?
In fact, this month is
Yeah.
actually we are celebrating the International Women's Day, right?
Right.
In March. Yeah. So in fact, usually in March, DEI comes out very strongly as well. There's always a few months in a year. Of course, there are so many things to celebrate in the year, right? So in
Yeah.
March, we celebrate International Women's Day. So that's where the DEI comes in very strongly. And it's a very good time for us to just always reimagine what inclusivity look like. Yeah. So continuously interact with people in the company that participate in the information, right, and also the decision making. So when that happens, you're able to tweak the prompts, and you're able to tweak the content that goes in very quickly. Yeah. So and also hiring. Okay, first we always, for the longest period of time, even before AI comes, we always say start by hiring right, right? So, but but very little people can actually decide what is hiring right. Hiring
Mm.
right for manager A might not be hiring right for manager B, right? So for many years, a lot of companies will always talk about culture. Culturally, are you a fit? Team wise, are you a fit? Job wise, are you a fit? So all this assessment, when it comes to having the finalists being shortlisted, it should be not a single person's decision. It should be a team effort, right? So the more you actually put in time, and that is more important if you ask me, the more you put in time to make sure that you're hiring right by having more than one person's perspective is important, because DEI is always challenged when you have one person who believes in something and hiring the same 10 more people that
Mm.
believe in the same thing, and that
True.
has no equity and inclusivity in it. So are there more than one person in the whole decision making for the hiring process? That is something that as a human resources we should continuously um, advocate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It should not be one person's decision. Okay, so and we have a remarks here. Thanks, Lance. Human in the loop is great for ensuring the inputs are monitored. Actually, after this session, I'm very optimistic about AI, because in the
Mm,
past, some people always advocate that, okay, if you don't really learn AI, you will be replaced, right? But AI actually is something is here anyway. It will assist us to elevate our work. I think this is very positive. I really love this message. Good points to anchor diverse. There is a comment here. Wow, a lot of comments for you. I think you are the influencer. That's why a lot of comments here. What's the comment? Let me see. Uh, oh,
I'm going to try to move around before
okay. Human you.
the switch
Oh,
off.
okay. Why is moving around? I can't see the comments. Why? Okay. Oh, anyway. So yeah, great points to anchor diversity of perspective or thoughts. Okay. So, Lance, any closing remarks for us before we close the session?
Right. Maybe Rita, I would also, so I think we have another 10 more minutes. Rita, I'm actually new to this platform and
Yeah.
also rather new to you. Would you
Yeah.
also want to share with me your motivation of doing this for all of us today?
The motivation of doing this session today?
Not just the session, like you have been running this series for a while.
Oh, okay,
Maybe I
okay.
watched two of the series before this so that I know how you interact with your audience. Yeah, but I also
Okay.
want to hear from you because you have actually created this platform for us.
Yeah, right. But actually, time is up because this session only
Oh,
takes around 45 minutes. But
right.
it's really
Okay.
my pleasure uh, to share with you the reason for having this platform and the benefits and so on.
Hmm.
Basically, it originated from a survey last year that I conducted in Hong Kong with a number of HR leaders.
Hmm.
And I only came up with one very simple question. What is your biggest challenge at the moment? So different HR leaders came up with different input, and I put
Hmm.
together top 10. And apparently AI adoption and also
Hmm.
Gen Z uh, work dynamic came to be, I think, the third and the second. So because of challenges, right, we need to have solutions. That's why I just thought that, okay, I'm sure that their solutions are more than challenges. That's why I started this LinkedIn Live session by inviting HR leaders to speak on one of the challenges mentioned in the survey. So with this series of sessions, and I'm so blessed that I have invited different HR leaders sharing their perspective and insights. I'm sure that the participants or viewers have taken a lot away from different sessions on the nuggets of wisdoms shared by the leaders. Just like we have a leader sharing with us how to make change management effectively by sharing with us some of the models, and we also have very good good practices on how to adopt AI in their own organization. So with all these nuggets of wisdom, I'm sure that HR professionals will be able to adopt some of them in their own organization. So I think this is the reason that we started with this one, and also the benefits that we can gain from all these sessions. And actually, this session is the last one for the Singapore series. And then in our next session, we have invited a HR leader in Vietnam to share something related to employee well-being. Actually, employee well-being also on the list of the child challenges, but they are not really on the top. On the top there, I think they have the 5th of the 6 challenges. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I have made myself clear, and this is something that I would love to. This is something that why we started the session and the benefits.
Right, will do. So maybe just quickly in closing, I didn't know that we have passed 45 minutes, but I think for everyone here, I think the goal is not to compete with AI. It is a machine. Our goal is to use it, right? So to utilize it and not to fear it. And as HR leaders here, or just business leaders here, build a workforce that can evolve around technology. Whether we call it AI or BI, it doesn't matter. Just build a workforce that can evolve, and that's most important.
Yeah.
I saw some questions, but I
think questions are coming. So I think we are better to answer or acknowledge all these
comments. Yes, offline. So all of you can actually still connect with Rita and I on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then we can take it forward on another channel if we need to.
Yeah. So maybe actually there's only one question here. The others are comments, very sweet comments for Lance. So maybe we'll just take this one before we conclude the session. Lance, is that okay with you?
Oh, sure, we'll do.
Okay.
Which is?
So, this one is from Kaiser. Yeah. I think, first of all, HR professionals should start with how HR is impacting business, how AI changes business models, what talents are critical for new normal in the age of AI, what are the core competencies shifting from general business model to AI model, how HR operating models are changing because of AI. How do HR adapt their strategies in the age of AI? How AI shift their talent management strategy? Wow, there are a lot of questions here. I think we could take it all, right?
One. Yeah. I think Kaiser, I think we can write a book with the 6 questions. But to be really honest, yes, because every question that he had here is great. And it's almost like a chapter each. Yeah. So I think Kaiser, to be really honest, I think what we can do is we can post some of this question online, and then we leave some of the people today that participated to also answer it. I think just approach. I cannot see most of the question anymore, but just approach it with an open mind. Always look forward to speaking to other HR leaders. With every new HR leaders that you meet, share one of these questions to them, and check what is their responses as well. Everyone would have a different response to you. Unlike AI, I can almost tell you if you ask the same question to ChatGPT, the content will be quite the same. They will phrase it a little bit different. It's quite the same. Why? Because they're extracting content from human who have potentially put in some content of the same before, or someone who has commented it the same before. So ChatGPT is like any or I would just say any of this AI platform, they are just like an advanced, what do you call that, textbook that you can read into. But you can disagree with the textbook or you can agree with the textbook. And the more books that you borrow from a library, the more content that you will get. So if you doubt whatever question that you have asked or whatever answer that you get, go for more human libraries. Human libraries mean every human is a library. So you speak to more human, you get more content, right? So whatever the ChatGPT or the AI platform gives to you, you challenge it or you ask it to the same human person and say, what do you think of it? And there I think you will get all your answers gradually. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Lance. Okay, so actually taking this opportunity, I would love to say a big thank you to Lance. And next week we have an HR leader from Vietnam on a different topic. And with the start of April, we are going to have a new topic, which is related to sustainability for business. And Lance is one of the human library that I will go to, so that she'll some of her perspective with us. Okay, so I think that we have to conclude the session today because it's already 12:55. Okay, it's already we have already overrun for 10 minutes, but I think Lance's input is very, very valuable, and we have keep seeing a lot of comments and questions and so on. But I am sure that we will be connected online, actually on LinkedIn, so that we will continue with our conversation. Okay, thank you so much for all of you, and have a great weekend. I will see you next week. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.